Hi, folks. Welcome to another 10 Talk. This is a part two, so hopefully you've watched part one. This is part two on how to tips for using Pear Deck. And Laura Croson from Peoria Gifted is joining us, or actually Washington Gifted in Peoria. She's a sixth grade math teacher, and she did a part one last week where she really talked about the pros, the cons, how Pear Deck has kind of been a game changer for engagement, especially with some math examples. And today, I know, Laura, you're really going to talk about some of those how-tos to get a teacher started with Pear Deck. And as you said before, it is a PowerPoint add-on. So a lot of teachers are using PowerPoint, but this just makes it a little more interactive, right?
Absolutely, it does. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to take over your screen here. And I have a PowerPoint because I use PowerPoint all the time. I might as well explain how to do this with PowerPoint. Okay, and of course it's covering up what I want to do to start my slideshow. There we go. Okay, sorry about this. Okay, so this is me, a little bit about me. I am presenting about getting started with Pear Deck. This is how I use it in my middle school math classes for distance learning. Our students in Peoria have been home this entire semester, and so it has been a challenge to try to reach them with engaging material. So just a little bit about Pear Deck was in my first presentation. I'll just let you a glimpse at that really quickly, but and that was also in the first presentation. And I'm a little concerned about my 10 minutes, so I'm going to get going. But if you're thinking this sounds like something that I would love to do, sign me up, then stay with me. So this is like the basic 5 steps, and I'm going to go a little deeper on how to get started, but this is going to be focused on using Microsoft. So if you're using Google, I highly recommend you go check out their website because they also have tutorials on how to use it. So mine is specific to Microsoft. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create an account at peardeck.com, and that's free. And there's also an option going to be for you to do premium for free for 30 days. I recommend you check it out that way. It was how I got hooked on it. So step 2 is to create a PowerPoint presentation. I like to use problem sources from Illustrative Math and Engage New York to put rich problems in front of my students. And I use the Windows Shift S for my screenshots and Control V to paste it. Those are my best buddies. I find a good problem and I am just dropping it into PowerPoint for my students to be able to get engaged with those really good problems. I also enjoy putting some fun clip art in because if you've ever looked at illustrative math and Engage New York, they're pretty black and white and kind of boring. So I like to drop little pictures in there because the kids seem to appreciate that. So step 3, you have to save your PowerPoint in OneDrive. This is a must-do step. You can't save it on a flash drive or to your computer. This website, Pear Deck, relies on you having it in OneDrive or it cannot launch these. And so you will not be able to use the add-on. So that's your 3rd step, and it's very important.
That explains why I had problems when I tried it. There's
I did too. No one told me that. And so when I got started with it, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So it was an important step. Step 4 is to open your PowerPoint at office.com. I don't create mine there, but some people do. I use the app. But you have to open it at PowerPoint at office.com, and then you need to add Pear Deck. So, and you probably can't see that because it's behind us. So I'm gonna move us over here. This is what it looks like. It's the meatball menu here, and you're gonna click on the meatballs, and then you're gonna add the add-on of Pear Deck. And once you add it, it's there. So that's pretty nice. So here I'm moving myself again. I don't even know if this ends up showing up that we're in the way. So step 5, you're going to customize your slides by adding on the appropriate add-on. When in doubt, always use the draw because it lets them write and type. So I prefer to use the draw one. So I just drop that on the slide and this little barcode will show up at the bottom. And that is basically giving your Pear Deck the ability for them to write on it with the little pen tools and the typing tools when you present to them in Pear Deck. So there are slides that I don't put the add-on on where it's just like a page where they're going to see the formulas for doing something like the formula for the area of a triangle, where I don't put the add-on on there because I want them to read the slide and not start doodling on it.
So they
So,
click the QR code and that's what makes them able to create almost their own version and start doing.
well, what they do is you're going to give them, and I'll get to this in the end, but they get a link that they can click on and it will open the PowerPoint exclusively for them. So this is what they'll see, like one of my slides. If I'm presenting this slide, this is the one that they're going to get, and they can write or type on it, and then I'm able to watch their progress as they go. And this is an example of some clip art. I just dropped this big 6 in here because it was this was the question, algebra talk when X is 6. So it kind of just reminded them that they were working with the number 6, and it made it kind of cuter. So that's just an example of a slide that I use, and kind of more basic problem. That's not a rich problem, I would call it. But in step 6, you actually go to Pear Deck once you've customized those slides, and you're going to launch your presentation. You're going to need to log in, and then you're going to access your PowerPoint from the OneDrive. So this is what it looked like on my end. I've logged in, here's my name, and then it shows me my OneDrive options. So I can choose which one I want to open. And then when I click on it, this is what's going to pop up. And I always used the live session, but some of my colleagues have started in small groups using the student paste. Some of them have used that for quizzes. I'm using this for whole group instruction currently. So I start a live session. And once I do that, it shows me this. So I click on the link, give students a link, and I can drop that into the chat. It just copies that. And then I also take a screenshot of this and drop it in there. So that way, if the kids want to go to joinpd.com and type in HGTOHD, they're able to do that. And it's different every time. Some of the kids want to memorize the 6 letters. And every time you start a new Pear Deck, it's new numbers. So they get a little confused. The Pear Deck isn't there. Well, they were not using the same one. So I display this guy though. And if you were in the classroom, like we're about to have a hybrid model. So half of the students will be in the classroom and half of them will be at home. So the ones at home who are following along will be able to join Pear Deck. The ones in the classroom could also join, but I could just put that up on my smart board for them. So I'm trying to use less screens though if they are at school, because I think they're kind of done with screens. Okay, so what next? Well, you start your class, the students log in. I open that dashboard in the new tab, and you go to the slide that you want the students working on, and you watch them get to work. There are 3 views. There's the overlaid, there's one at a time. Their name does display in there, so you know who is doing what. And there's also the grid layout, which if you watched my first 10 talk, you would have seen what that looks like. I included some screenshots on that. You can lock their screens. You can talk students through issues. The other day I started one on exponents, and I immediately noticed that all of the students were multiplying times the exponent instead of, like, if they had 1/4 cubed, they were taking 1/4 times 3 instead of taking 1/4 times 1/4 times 1/4. And I just noticed that over half of them were doing it. I locked their screens and I said, hang on a minute, guys, look at your slide. Are you taking 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3? Or are you taking 1/3 times 3? And you watch them all. I unlocked it and watched them all start to erase and get back to work on it the right way. So it's kind of nice to not waste that time where they worked for 10 minutes on problems and realized that they'd done them all wrong. So I do that. I also do that for time limits. I'll say, you got about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to lock your screens and we're going to move on. So I do use that a lot. You can send them messages as they work, individual messages, acknowledging their good work. I share screenshots of student work, and I let them talk through their thought process. I might say, hey, Mitchell, I really like how you solved the problem. I'm going to drop it in the chat, and can you turn on your mic and tell us what you were doing? And the kids will turn on their mic and talk through the problem. The kids are really, I feel like that's what we need to be doing. We need to be talking math, even though we're not in the classroom together. At the end, you can save it or don't save it. It's truly up to you. But there are great videos on Pear Deck that are tailored to Google Slides or to PowerPoint that will even give you more insight into how to use this. Because I know that I'm just one person using it in a certain way, and you know, that's obviously going to be limited, and it can certainly be different for younger students or older students. But I know even our algebra teacher, and he's teaching algebra and geometry, has really just, you know, gotten into this and really gone with it. So it's very
I can
useful.
imagine geometry. It would really be not. I mean, I just think math overall is hard, you know, without the manipulatives and without them doing. So
Right.
I think that would be so you can actually collect student data because you can keep the slides. You could review it
Absolutely.
later. You could, you know, see if like you noticed that right in front of you that they were having that problem. But some, if you kept them and looked at them later, you might notice I got to go back
Absolutely.
and reteach that or whatever. I love that
Absolutely.
part of it. I love that part that's not a typical assessment method. You know, not just they're doing something, handing it in, or it'll be really interesting, Laura, to see when you're blending the two and you're back to you're in a hybrid. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, you know, it'll be interesting to chat again and see how that went as well. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate these tips. Folks, grab the top 10 list for both of these 10 talks, a link to Pear Deck, a link to some other math kinds of manipulative things, because we've done a few of those from the LearnAway site will be there. So grab those and dig in. Thanks, Laura. I appreciate it. This has been
You are
great.
very welcome. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Ah.